Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy, Brad Magani, back with some more choices that matter and the someone out. And when we last left off, we Dolores freaking tracked us down. We got on a jet with her. Our kidnappers from back in the beginning of this thing are here. Sharon is back. Etienne's here as well. Everybody that we have possibly met or probably could have met throughout the whole story is here. And NASA was attacked by hackers and bombs. So yeah, our main lead for how the sun is going to is ugh, went out is not good. It's not looking good. But yeah, when we last left off, we were just being introduced to all the people that were back on the plane. So um. On the opposite end of the cabin, a woman I didn't know was talking closely to her young male friend. She was dark skinned and beautiful. Well, shit. Ow. My stomach. I watched them carefully, knowing to be cautious of strangers by now. The woman is Miss Farrer, my companion next to me whispered, noticing my look. She's with the Children of Gaia, or the COG group. Interesting woman. Oh. So that's why Etienne's here, because he was tracking down the Children of Gaia. Okay. I looked around one more time, open-mouthed, at the gaggle of people around us. It appears that while I had been sleeping, Dolores had been racking up some serious smiles. When Dolores finally left the cockpit and walked over to me, everyone moved around to form a large circle as if expecting a group conversation. Glancing into the cockpit, I noticed that cockpit. I noticed that Dagger was in the pilot's seat now. Is this the part of the movie where the team comes together to save the world? Dolores laid out, what's our plan? Dolores laughed in the most unladylike fashion, crossing her arms. That's the point, she drawled. We're making a plan. Together. Oh. I still don't understand why the Aethers believing quacks are here, said one of the Children of Gaia. Quacks, shot back the Aetherites. This coming from the crazies who sacrifice people? Rich. Okay, people, calm down. Enough, Miss Farrer bellowed. We'll get nothing done if everyone insists on behaving like infants. You're damn right. Miss Farrer is right, Wong said after a moment of awkward silence. We have to work together now, regardless of how we feel about each other. Everyone nodded in agreement, some more reluctant than others, but the important thing was they nodded. I said nothing, looked at Dolores and waited. Finally, she sighed. While you were having your little meltdown, dooming the world before it ended, I set to work, she said. It took some managing, but the good news is I've successfully gathered the best of us to solve this little problem. Little problem indeed, Juan interrupted. Before you go on, for those who haven't met her, this is Satin Lewis. He gestured at the tall blonde. She is an exceptional pilot with a background in guerrilla warfare. I'm quite useful, she added, smiling wickedly, although apparently I'm third in line to fly this gorgeous jet. On that note, Miss Ferrer said after the general hubble of hellos had died down, this young man is my associate, Chase Price. You and I had the same idea. Chase is a world-class engineer over several disciplines. Also quite useful, Chase winked at Satin. Oh. Well, none of you would be here if you weren't useful, Dolores waved off the conversation. When our NASA lead was sabotaged, we were in desperate need of new leads. According to my employees report, the group represented in this room have come closer than anyone else to solving the sun problem. Ooh. Wait, I said, shaking away my drowsiness. Good news. What's the bad news? Bad news is we're all on the company's complication matrix, she snapped. Even me, after all these years of service. Don't worry, I've been leaving back doors for myself ever since I started. Let them just try and stop me. Oh, God. I rubbed my forehead again. That wasn't good. As much as I had my issues with the company, their resources and protection were always useful. Now, not only were we on our own, we were being hunted by our former employers. You had a lead in NASA? I asked Wong suddenly. He looked as if he was deep in thought. Yes, but it's no use now that NASA's blown off the map. Keep up, said Dolores dismissively. Dolores, ooh. Why would anyone blow up a space agency? Asked Petrus, musing. Is this to cover up the missing astronaut again? What's in the NASA servers that's worth so many lives? The real question is, who did it? Said Matron. The amount of coordination needed to destroy all of NASA's backup servers at the same time is insane. My guess is Santiago's cult did it, said Miss Ferrer. The leader might be dead, but he still has believers. No, they would not do that. The believers are probably being hunted down by the people who are now non-believers. Wong looked ill, and I knew how he felt. I'd been so relieved that Santiago was dead, I hadn't thought about what the remnants of his cult might be up to. It doesn't matter now, interrupted Dolores. What's gone is gone. We must focus our efforts on what we still have. But what if it isn't gone? We all turned to Wong at that. What do you mean? I asked him. Well, you know how competitive the Chinese, Russian, and American space agencies are, don't you? Oh, shit! You're right, Wong. It probably was the Chinese or the Russians doing that. When no one said anything, Wong continued. When I was in the army, I was friends with an intelligence officer. Sometimes when we get drunk together, he'd tell me stuff he shouldn't. Like how the 3 space agencies would hack and steal each other's data all the time. We all looked at each other at that moment. I felt a fluttering of hoping in my chest. Are you saying there's a chance NASA's secrets are still out there? Cut in Dolores, her expression calculating. So, NASA's data, the part everyone tried so hard to cover up, might have survived after all in its rival space agency servers, Matron said, nodding. That actually makes perfect sense. Yo, if that's true, we have to get that data, I said. Whatever they're hiding might help us understand the sun problem. I could see the scientists nodding in agreement. But where do we go? Russia or China? Asked Miss Ferrer. I have connections in Russia, Petrus answered, immediately rubbing his hands together. It won't be easy getting access to top secret data they don't want to admit they have, but it'll be easier than China. I disagree. Matron held up her hand. The geopolitical situation in Russia has deteriorated significantly over the last few months. We'll be less likely to be thrown into jail or blown up by terrorists if we go to China. As happens with highly intellectual people, the argument went on. Dolores, as well as I, watched passively at the scientists and theorists dueling it out. Sharon put her 2 cents, mentioning that she knew someone in Russia that could help. She pleaded the case for that side. Etienne was, as always, opposite to Sharon. He preferred the relative safety and stability of China. At last, Dolores put up her hand. We're evenly split, she announced when everyone was silently. That's fine. We could part ways and do both. We have a private jet and might as well use it. As for me, she looked me dead in the eyes. It was a challenge, but for the first time I felt there was some confidence in her stare as well. Confidence in me. Oh, you got some confidence! Confidence. Where to, Dolores asked. Myself, Dagger, and Crank will follow your lead. I looked around at my friends and new acquaintances, all trying to save the world. Well, seeing that this is the Sharon run, we're going to Russia. We're going to go to Moscow. Moscow! Dolores nodded and stepped back. I'll set the destination. We'll drop the first team off at China and then we'll accompany you to Russia. Get yourself ready. It won't be a long stop. Dolores shut herself in the cockpit with Dagger. Who will be going to Beijing with me? Matron asked, pulling a notepad and pen from her pocket. I'll need contact details for emergencies. I'll go with you, Wong said. The Aetherites have contacts there. The Aetherites? How do we know you're going to get the job done? A Children of Guy asked snidely, clearly still distrustful of the Aetherites. Man, you better shut your ass up. I'll go with them, Chase interrupted, raising a hand. Oh. Evens the odds, he shrugged. No, what evens the odds is me going with the freaks of Gaia. Sat inside, winking at Chase. Are we set? Anyone else want to swap teams? Petrus, you were keen for Russia, I muttered, and he nodded. Etienne? Sharon? Where do you two see yourself? Well, Sharon, she was saying about Russia, so I'm pretty sure she's going to go to Russia. With me. Russia with you, Sharon answered instantly. I know Moscow some. Then I'll head to Beijing, Etienne shrugged. I can be of use there and work with Chase to decode Dad's diary. Well, keep in contact, bro. So we're set, Crank said, coming forward. I'll let Miss Montague know the plan. Take a seat. We're in for a bumpy ride for the next hour or so. Mr. Crank is correct, teacher. The wind speeds would necessitate all passengers be seated and strapped in. Sit with Sharon, bro. Everyone settled into their respective chairs, and I sat next to Sharon. I bumped her shoulder lightly. So you're coming with me to Moscow, huh? Seems like, she sighed. It's been years since I've been back there. I've kind of avoided it, to be honest. Suddenly, the plane descended sharply and then climbed again, causing my heart to jump. Sharon grabbed my arm to keep steady. I'm still not used to all this flying, she admitted sheepishly. I'm not used to Dolores flying, I muttered. The turbulence evened out eventually, and I kept breathing. I trusted Dolores, but I'd never seen her drive until a week ago. What brought you there in the first place? I asked, frowning. As far as I knew, Sharon had never been anywhere apart from Australia and Peru. The same thing that usually happens when you're young and stupid, she sighed. Love. Not that it lasted. At least it can be of some use to us now. Honestly, I thought you would check out, I admitted. I thought you would head home and let this be the end, with Santiago dead and all. She shrugged, leaning back. I guess I just want to see it done. I can understand that. Teacher, I require charging. I am feeling very tired. Did he update again? I chuckled. Modicons don't feel tired, but alright, hold on. Good night, little calculator, Sharon called. I rummaged in my bag until I found Modi's charger and plugged it in at the end of the seat Sharon and I were on. Teacher, will I dream if I sleep? Modicons don't dream either. Only if you want to, I suppose. Yeah, that's an interesting little device you have there, Chase called, staring at Modi. He was sitting closely to Satin, a little too close if their colleagues' death stories were a hint. While the rest of the Aetherites and the children of Gaia seemed to consider each other as their arch nemesis, Chase and Satin were chatting easily and flirting openly. Ooh, Chase might be getting some of that Satin, bro. Modi has its quirks, I admitted, shifting my jacket so that Modi was covered. I was getting sick of people staring at my Modicon with hungry eyes. You could say that again, Satin murmured, leaning to the side in an attempt to peek behind my jacket. Hey! Satin and Chase stared a meaningful look before leaning towards each other and whispered, resuming their private conversation. When the turbulence finally settled, I stood and moved around the cabin, meeting the people I didn't know and reacquainting myself with the ones that I did. At the front of the plane, I found Crank looking greener than everyone else. You alright? He straightened, putting on a tough face. Of course, he answered gruffly. I've flown a lot, you know. It's not like I'm afraid or nothing. He's afraid of flying, Daggard stated in a no-nonsense manner as she walked out of the cockpit. She handed Crank a cup of what looked like hot tea, and he sank grumpily back in his chair. What about you? What are you afraid of? I asked Daggard. Nothing. A job not well done, she said with warning in her voice. Miss Montague trusts you, and I'll be very upset if this comes to nothing. Seems like you're very loyal to her. Yeah. Well, she is the one that employs us, she answered honestly, settling down next to Crank. He grumbled and pulled his feet up to lean his chin on his knees. Technically, the company does that, I noted, but it seems like you and Crank are Dolores' go-to people. More than that, Dagger shuddered, we answered to her, yes. However, Dolores has gotten us out of some pretty dicey situations without questioning us. You owe her, I muttered, understanding. Yes, Dagger sighed, looking at Crank. We owe her. Dolores opened the cockpit door and I motioned for Dagger to join her. I leaned in the doorway while Dagger sat in the co-pilot seat. How's everything up here? I asked, looking at the glowing dashboard. This baby nearly flies itself, Dolores admired. Top of the range. Everything is electronic. I could turn the lights out in the cabin from here if I wanted. Nothing but the best for the company, I murmured, looking out the window to the clouds below us. Nothing but the best for us, Dolores corrected, considering the company has blacklisted us all. Sure, that'll never come back to bite us at all, I muttered. Dagger gave me a glare and I turned around to leave. Wait, your emoticon, Dolores called. I think you should leave it with me. I'd like to take a closer look at its software. I'll think about it. I closed the door before she could reply. Ooh, give her the same treatment when she was on the phone. Crank sighed, looking at us a little less green after his tea. She'll get her way, he warned. She always does. Yeah, I know that. I'm just trying to buy myself some time. I didn't respond to Crank. Etienne found me a little bit later while I was hunting for something to eat to keep me awake. Hey, I just found out something, he said, pulling me aside. Not only have I seen this symbol elsewhere, he said, flashing a sketch of the strange symbol in Soul's diary, but so have the others. What do you mean? I asked. I've been sketching the symbol from time to time, trying to figure it out. Miss Farrah caught me drawing it today and thought it looked similar to a symbol she had seen as a child in an old Portuguese castle. What? That's in Portugal. That's far away from freaking Turkey. Etienne glanced around before continuing. I figured it was a coincidence, but Satin just told me she had seen it before on the wall of a ruined fort in a little German village while on a mission not too long ago. What the hell? Do I even want to know what she was doing there? Etienne gave me a weary look. Even if you did, she wouldn't tell me. In any case, that's quite a few countries that this symbol has been sighted on archaeological sites. Show it to me again. Bruh, I don't understand this. Bruh. Keep an eye on it, Edo. And please be careful. I clapped him on the shoulder. I have a bad feeling about it. Oh no, don't worry about me, he nodded. I'll be fine. Ben, he's not gonna be fine. I'm calling it now. He's not gonna be fine. No being a hero while I'm not around to save you. Etienne laughed, a twinkle in his eye. I wouldn't dream of it, he said, shaking his head. That is obviously your job. You're damn right. You're damn right. I was startled when Dolores' voice came over the jet's intercom. We're getting ready to land, people. Strap in or be prepared for a concussion. I don't care which. I want that concussion. I looked at the time on Modi's charging face. I'm not sure if that was quicker or slower than I thought. Your mental process have no effect on the distance travel, teacher. Thank you, Modi. I covered Modi with my jacket again and went to sit with Etienne, ready to part with him once more. To my surprise, Dolores' landing was gentle and smooth. Maybe that was why I slept soundly through all the earlier landings. I guess. That makes sense. Etienne smiled sadly at me. Hey, don't worry, bro. She's skilled. She'll look after you, he said, reassuring, though I wasn't sure if he was reassuring himself or me. She's done so in the past, I've got no reason to think it'll change now. She's done so in the past. Dolores, Dagger, and Crank joined us in the main cabin, and Dolores surprised me by handing out cell phones to each of our ragged group. These should work on Russian and Chinese cell networks, she said, handing me mine, which helpfully had my name on it. What is your name? Everyone's details are already programmed in, she continued. Phone networks everywhere have been patchy ever since the last time the sun went out. If you're having trouble calling, try your luck with text messages. I haven't been able to maintain a line of communication with the other Aetherite chapters, Wonk said, looking at his own phone. In any case, Dolores continued, try to keep everyone updated of your status at all times, especially if things go awry. You don't sound confident, my dear, Petrus noted, frowning. Dolores shook her head quickly, merely being practical. We're also refueling here, so if anyone wants to stretch their legs, now would be the time to do it. You've got 20 minutes. I hastened to head out, eager for fresh air after being in a crowded airplane for so long. Dagger was close behind me. Stupid tiny plane, she sighed. I used to fly a much bigger beast, more legroom. I laughed, nodding to her. The others joined us in a little circle, some of them with their luggage. Do you think we'll succeed? Chase Price asked, standing next to me. Save the world and get the girl or guy? Of course we'll win on both accounts. Honestly, I don't know, but at least we'll see the world. On both accounts, bro. We gonna win both. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. We gonna win both. His smile widened into a toothy grin, though it looked more competitive than friendly. Well then, may the better team win then, he winked and clapped my shoulders with his hands. You want to make a bet on who gets it done faster, Chase? Satin asked, coming forward. Oh. Chase tilted his head slightly. You're on. I bet you 500 American that me and my team will find NASA's information before you and yours do, he challenged, standing up to his full height. Up the ante, she shot back. 1,000 if my team finds a cure for the sun before yours. Oh, 1,000! I bet €1,000,000. Euros. Done. They shook hands, holding it probably a moment longer than was necessary before Chase backed away with a twist on his lip and the devil's look in his eyes. What? Let's hope Russia has the goods, Satin laughed, rubbing her hands together. I can't wait until he's in my debt. As Satin wandered off, Sharon walked up and raised an eyebrow at me. What you saying, bruh? Those two are up to no good, Sharon muttered before turning to me. Can I use Modi to call Chrissy? Modi's charging, I said, shaking my head. You'll have to wait until we land in Moscow. She frowned, but didn't push it. Soon Dolores was signaling for us to come back inside, and we all said our goodbyes before boarding the plane once more. Now's a good time to get some sleep, Dolores said, looking over the bedraggled group. Less people means more space to actually lie down. I nodded, already yawning, knowing I couldn't fight the fatigue much longer. Settling down on the couch with my head next to my bag and jacket, I closed my eyes. Modi, wake me an hour before we get there. I was dead to the world before I could hear Modi's response. I awoke to the sound of men shouting in Russian and machinery being operated and moved. Yawning, I opened my eyes to see that the door leading outside the jet was wide open. We had already landed. What time is it? I asked Modi, rubbing my eyes. No one responded. Huh? Dragging myself up and off the couch, I shuffled to the open door and looked out, shielding my eyes from the sunlight. If I was expecting an airport, I would be sadly mistaken. From what I could see, we were on some kind of estate, and the jet had somehow landed on a long driveway. Crank came into view near a large house, his back to me. I climbed down the jet and started walking towards him. He must have heard my feet crunching the gravel beneath me, because he turned around before I reached the house. Where are we? I asked. Russia, he grunted tersely. Thank you, but where in Russia? I prodded, cranky from just waking up. On someone's private estate, about an hour from Moscow. Miss Montague has paid them to go on holiday, so they will not bother us. I nodded. Not a bad idea. Returning back inside the jet, I shivered and grabbed my coat and shoes, figuring I could go and find the group. We needed to work out a plan of action. However, when I picked up my coat, I noticed immediately that something was missing. Modi was gone. What the? Hell no! Where the fuck? I had to take a moment to let that sink in. Someone took Modi. Son of a bitch! Search around. Dolores probably has them, but I just want to make sure. I pulled my bag and jacket from the console and started searching through them, thinking maybe Modi was caught up in it. But still, my little companion wasn't there, so I moved on to the rest of the plush jet. I pulled cushions off their seats and checked the cockpit. I was more enraged than I should at a faulty blinking light in the toilet. Dolores' voice called from the open door, and I turned to confront her. Wake up, lazy. We got stuff to do, she yelled as she entered the plane. Where's Modi? I demanded. Dolores frowned. You've made your opinion on the matter perfectly clear, she sneered. I'll keep my Modicon and you keep yours. I'll just observe. Then why is Modi missing? I asked, leaning on the counter. Dolores stood straight. What do you mean, missing? She asked, flicking her hand at Dagger, who immediately left the room. I put Modi on charge on the jet, and now it's not there. Missing. When? What? I asked, becoming enraged. When did you plug it in, and have you seen it since? She snapped angrily. I plugged Modi in after we had our group chat and figured out where everyone was going. I last talked to Modi when we were making our stop in China. Meaning anyone on the plane could have taken it. Damn, she swore. What do you mean? They are our friends. Is this plane ready to turn around if we have to? She's not gonna turn it around, but I'm just gonna I'll have crank refuel immediately, but it will take a few hours to source and fill. Why would anyone take Modi? I sighed, rubbing my forehead. Why wouldn't they? She countered. We've all seen how unique your device is. She pulled a tiny notepad from her back pocket and started scribbling madly. Our suspects are those who were in transit with us, even those who got off at China, right? Right, I think I remember. It makes sense. I don't remember hearing Modi's voice before I slept. So you, me, Dagger, Crank, Peaches, Matron, the Aetherites, including Wong and Satin, the Cogs, including Farrah and Chase, and your little friends, Etienne and Sharon. You've put both of us on that list, I asked dryly, still not excluding her from my own mental list. No stone unturned, she muttered, not looking at me. That's not too that's not too many over a dozen people. Shouldn't be hard to track it down. I thought about the behaviors of the people I've known and met on the plane. I don't believe Etienne would do this. Yeah, I don't think he'd do it. How sure are you about someone you've known for such a short time? She asked, staring at her list. We've been through a lot, I nodded, rubbing my hands together to warm them. He wouldn't do something like this without talking to me. After a long hard stare, Dolores nodded and put a line through Etienne's name. I wouldn't believe it of Etienne, yet I made a mental note to get in contact with the other groups in China as soon as I could talk to him. Has anyone, Dolores asked, breaking my thought process. Has anyone what? I asked, confused. Asked for your emoticon. Apart from you, you mean? No, I said, snidely. Although... Yes, Dolores prompted. Sharon asked. Sharon wanted to use Modi to contact her daughter, I admitted. They'd been separated for a while now. I see, Dolores muttered. Okay, let me see. Yep, there's It's not her. I sooner believe you stole Modi. I'm going to kill Sharon. Where is she? I don't think Sharon took it. Because, see, if Sharon took Modi, she would have returned it. It's not her. I sooner believe you stole Modi. And, I'm going to end the video right here. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. And, bye.